Hi, it's Barb, Meeple PhD with a Cosmic Game Connection. NASA recently announced that its TESS satellite had observed its first star shredded by a black hole in an event called a Tidal Disruption Event, or TDE for short. Now, this isn't the first time a TDE has been observed, but what's unique about this one, which is called Assassin 19BT, is that it happened to be in a region of the sky that TESS was observing for a long time before the event even started. Now, what is a tidal disruption event? It happens when a star wanders too close to a black hole. Rule number one of black holes is keep a safe distance. From far away, black holes look like anything else in the universe that have mass. But as you start to get close, weird things can start to happen, like the appearance of light bending around the black hole to show you things from the far side. And if you get even closer, well, things go from weird to bad. For this star, it wandered so close to the black hole that it succumbed to the tidal forces. What that means is that the gravity on one side of the star closest to the black hole, was so much stronger than the gravity on the other side that it started to stretch out. And the black hole pulled in some of the matter while causing some of the rest to be ejected away from the system. Now, the challenge of studying these types of events is that we never know when they're going to happen. And that can make it really hard to turn telescopes to get the very earliest moments of a TDE. In this case, the Assassin telescopes took note first. This is a network of telescopes that surveys the entire sky every night looking for transient events, things that suddenly brighten up. And it just so happens that Assassin 19BT also is in the TESS continuous viewing zone, a region of the sky where TESS had its camera pointed for nearly a year, meaning that we got data from it before the event even started. These early time observations are going to allow astronomers to start solving some open questions about TDEs. For example, they've been seeing far more ultraviolet radiation than they would expect based on the amount of X-rays that they see. It could be that the X-rays get bounced around inside the debris of the star, taking away their energy so they come out as ultraviolet radiation. It could also be that the disk of material that forms happens further away from the star than we would expect. In any case, more observations will help astronomers solve this puzzle and understand what happens when a star is shredded by a black hole. When I thought about that star wandering too close to the black hole without an exit strategy, the game that came to mind was Clank. Clank is a deck-building, treasure-hunting race through a dungeon with an angry dragon. The game is set up with the board in the middle of the table, and artifacts and secrets placed out as indicated on the board. The main deck of cards is shuffled, and a dungeon row of 6 cards is placed out for purchase, alongside some always available cards. The dragon cubes are placed in the Clank area, and the dragon bag placed nearby. Players each get a player pawn, a supply of Clank cubes, and a starter deck of cards, which they shuffle and grab a hand of 5. On their turn, players must play all cards in their hand to move their pawn around the board, to battle monsters, and to buy more cards. At the end of their turn, they discard all their cards and grab another hand of 5. If they ever need additional cards and they don't have them, they shuffle their discard pile and form a new deck. The goal is to move your pawn through the dungeon, grab an artifact, and some other treasure along the way, and then get your noisy self out of the dungeon before getting killed by the dragon. Things go bad when the dragon attacks. It attacks when its symbol shows up in the dungeon row. During an attack, all of the cubes played in the Clank area are placed in the dragon bag, and a number of cubes pulled out based on the dragon's rage number and any additional danger on the board. Player cubes pulled out in this manner are placed on their health track at the bottom of the board. If that health track is ever filled up, that player is knocked out. If this happens in the depths, or without an artifact, that player is left to the mercy of the dragon. The first to make it out, or the first to get knocked out, sets a clock for all other players to get out of the dungeon, because that player's turn now consists of just triggering dragon attacks with increasing danger each time. The game ends when all players have exited the dungeon, all players have been knocked out, or about the 5th round after the first person exits the dungeon. At that point, anyone who made it out, or anyone who was knocked out above ground with an artifact, counts up their points, and the player with the most points wins. During the game, you have a few choices to make. How do you craft your deck? Are you going to put in a lot of movement or maybe a lot of swords? And how far into the dungeon do you want to go? The cheaper artifacts are at the top. Or do you go for the best artifacts, which are more toward the bottom? But they're surrounded by monsters and locks and dead ends. The thing that made me think about this star-shredding black hole is that the deeper you go into the dungeon, the more important it is for you to have an escape plan. The closer and closer an object gets to a black hole, the faster and faster it has to be able to travel in order to escape, until it reaches a point of no return. Similarly, the further into the dungeon you choose to go in Clank, the more important it is to plan ahead and make sure that you have the movement and swords and everything you need to make that mad dash in and out. So the next time you get Clank to the table, try not to model your game after that ill-fated star. Thanks for joining me. Please subscribe and comment below. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as @MeeplePhD, and you can get additional reviews and science on meeplephd.com. This early data allowed astronomers, totally forgot what comes next. Clank is it?